Hello, my beautiful Libra soul. Let me start by saying something bold and clear. This week, something financial is going to appear in your life where you thought there was absolutely nothing. And yes, I know that sounds unbelievable. But if you stay with me, I'll show you why this is no coincidence and why the timing is divinely perfect. You didn't click on this video by accident. This is not just another horoscope reading. This is your spiritual appointment with a message you've been energetically calling in, maybe without even realizing it. This is a prophetic reading for those born under the sign of Libra, or if your moon, ascendant, or midheaven is in Libra, and it's going to shake you to your core in the most beautiful way. This week, between November 25th and 30th, the universe is creating what I can only describe as a sacred financial window, a portal where money, support, and divine compensation may arrive in your life, completely out of nowhere. And if your soul has been tired, your mind anxious, and your bank account waiting for a breakthrough, this is your moment. You see, Libra, the stars are aligning for you in ways that can't be seen with the naked eye, but they can be felt by the heart. Astrologically, you are standing right in the middle of a powerful cosmic alignment. A full moon lands directly on the axis of your personal income and shared resources. Jupiter is forming a golden trine with Venus, your ruling planet, creating what many astrologers call a financial gold zone. And on November 28th, Neptune finally goes direct, removing illusions and revealing hidden blessings you couldn't see before. That means, for you, Libra, something you thought was lost, delayed, or impossible may suddenly appear. It could be a refund, a gift, a surprise opportunity, or even a long overdue acknowledgement of your true value. But you have to be open to receive it. The miracle is already in motion. Are you willing to receive it? I want to pause here and ask you something real. What energy brought you here today? What part of your soul whispered, "Click this"? Because that whisper matters. That curiosity, that nudge, that moment of pause, it was your intuition aligning with divine timing. Now, let me offer you this. If anything inside of you feels that this message is yours, I invite you to leave a comment below right now with the words, "I'm ready to receive what I couldn't see before." This isn't just a comment. It's a declaration. It's a signal to the universe that you are stepping into alignment with abundance. And trust me, your words matter more than you think. Someone else will read your comment and feel seen. You will inspire them to open their heart as well. And Libra, before we dive deeper, allow me to express something very personal. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For watching. For listening. For sharing this space with me. Every like, every share, every moment you spend supporting this channel helps bring messages of healing and transformation to those who need them most. You are part of that. You are a light in this space. So stay with me until the end of this reading, because what the universe is about to reveal will leave you speechless, hopeful, and more certain than ever that miracles happen in the quietest corners of our lives. Especially when we least expect them. Let's begin. When we look up at the stars during a week like this, we're not just witnessing a planetary dance, we're observing the silent alignment of energy that speaks directly to the parts of us ready to receive. And for you, Libra, this is a week unlike any other. Something is forming. A current of abundance, clarity, and restoration is gathering speed, and it has your name written into its flow. During this period from November 25th to the 30th, the full moon on the 27th lands directly across your financial axis, your 2nd and 8th houses. This is where we experience the balance between what we earn and what we inherit, what we cultivate and what we're gifted, what we give and what life gives back. When the moon is full here, it illuminates not only your income and financial stability but also the deeper energetic truth. You are being positioned to receive what is rightfully yours. Maybe not what you expected. Maybe not how you imagined. But just because something feels unfamiliar doesn't mean it's not meant for you. The supportive trine between Jupiter and Venus during this time acts like a cosmic amplifier. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and Venus, your ruling planet, governs beauty, value, and material grace. Together, they open what astrologers sometimes call a golden gate, allowing blessings to flow more freely through the areas of life we've long been sowing seeds in. It's not a reward in the traditional sense, it's a reflection. A reflection of the energy, trust, and compassion you've given, even when things didn't feel certain. It's that quiet kind of karma that arrives not with thunder, but with ease. Neptune's shift into direct motion on the 28th is especially potent. For months, this dreamy planet may have clouded your financial intuition or left you second-guessing opportunities. Maybe you've had moments of doubt about whether something was real, whether a door was truly opening or just an illusion. But now, as Neptune steadies itself, your inner sight becomes clearer. The fog lifts. You begin to notice synchronicities, subtle signs, and messages that were always there but needed the right vibration to become visible. Sometimes, we don't need a new opportunity, we need new eyes to recognize the one in front of us. What's important is not just the astrology, but what it invites you into emotionally. This is not a time to strive harder or to chase something out of fear. It's a time to trust. To slow down. To feel the shift inside you before it manifests around you. And yes, it will manifest. You may find a forgotten refund. A conversation may lead to a generous offer. A piece of news may land that brings you financial closure or surprise gain. But none of it will make sense unless your heart is open, unless your energy is aligned with receiving without guilt, fear, or self-sabotage. In everyday life, it's easy to forget that we are always in conversation with something greater than ourselves even if we don't name it. For some, that's God. For others, it's life itself. And in moments like this, when everything starts to shift without warning, that invisible grace becomes real. Not because you begged for it, but because you chose to keep going. You kept believing. Even when there was no proof. That is faith. And faith, especially in motion, tends to shake open even the most locked doors. So as we move through this week together, remember, the energy isn't outside of you. You are part of it. You are made from it. And just like the tides respond to the moon, your life will respond to the alignment you choose now. If your heart feels even slightly called, I invite you to stay open, stay grounded, and above all, stay willing. Because the next opportunity you see might not be the one you were looking for, but it may be the exact one your soul has been waiting for. It's often in the stillness when we don't know what's coming next, when the path looks blank, that the universe speaks the loudest. And that's exactly what this portion of the reading reveals. When the Fool shows up as your opening card, it doesn't mean chaos, nor does it suggest you're lost. Instead, it represents the sacred zero, the unmarked beginning. The Fool invites you into a space where you don't need answers or a mapped-out strategy. You just need openness, willingness, a heart unburdened by old expectations. Because ironically, it is in the space where we think we have nothing that we are finally available to receive everything. This isn't blind optimism. This is energetic alignment. When you loosen your grip on what should happen or how you thought money was supposed to arrive, you allow life to surprise you. The Ace of Pentacles, appearing right after the Fool, confirms that surprise. Something tangible, something really is about to take form. And it's not because of your hard work this time. It's not coming from the usual channels. It's coming from what you let go of. Something you released, an old job, a toxic belief, a financial burden is now making space for a new blessing. This is cosmic law in motion. When we remove what no longer serves us, what is meant for us can finally enter. Then comes the Page of Swords, and I want you to pay close attention here. This energy is quick, sharp, unexpected. It tells us that news, perhaps even a small, overlooked message, will arrive with more impact than it seems to carry at first glance. Check your inbox, your texts, your missed calls. Not with desperation, but with clarity. You're not searching for a miracle, you're preparing to notice it. And often, the first sign of breakthrough doesn't come in bold headlines. It comes as a whisper. A line in an email. A request from someone you didn't expect. Stay alert. The universe rewards those who show up fully, even in the subtle moments. With the Six of Pentacles, we step into the vibration of divine reciprocity. Someone may feel an internal push to support you, not because you asked, not because you earned it, but simply because they're guided to. The deeper truth here is that financial help can come from a heart connection, not just a transactional exchange. That means being open to receive, even when your mind says, I don't need help, or I should do this alone. Abundance rarely flows when pride is in the way. And sometimes, grace is disguised as generosity. Let others give to you. Accept it with humility, knowing that giving and receiving are two sides of the same sacred rhythm. Now, perhaps the most dramatic and clarifying moment, the Tower and the Sun together. These two cards create the ultimate emotional contrast. The Tower signals sudden change, a collapse of an old system, belief, or structure. It might be uncomfortable, it might even shock you. But don't be afraid. Because immediately following it is the Sun. And that means whatever breaks down was never meant to last. It only stood in the way of your joy. Financially, this could look like a loss that actually sets you free. A job ending. A bill paid off. A canceled agreement that once drained your energy. The truth is, abundance sometimes arrives not as a deposit, but as a release. As freedom. And what feels like the end may just be the doorway to clarity. What I want to encourage you to do in this moment is simple, but powerful. Sit quietly. Take 3 slow, conscious breaths. And write down this affirmation: I am open to unexpected financial blessings. I receive them with gratitude and without control. This is not a chant or a spell. It's a calibration. A way to match your inner frequency to what the universe is already preparing. Remember, the divine does not operate on logic, it operates on alignment. Whether you call it luck, grace, or timing, the message remains: you are not as far from your breakthrough as it seems. And the only thing required of you right now is presence. Stay soft. Stay alert. And let what's meant for you arrive not through effort, but through openness. Some shifts don't begin with a bang, they begin in the quiet decision to no longer betray yourself. And for Libra, the sign of balance, beauty, and sacred harmony this week marks one of those shifts. Whether you've realized it or not, something deep within you has started to realign. You are no longer stretching yourself thin to please others. You're no longer holding on to people, patterns, or expectations that keep you from your center. That subtle change is powerful. It's not just emotional. It's energetic. And because of that, it's financial too. In astrology, Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of values, worth, and reciprocity. And when Libra returns to its own truth, when it begins to honor what feels authentic instead of what feels acceptable, the outer world reflects that shift. This is the week when your external world begins responding to your internal decision to no longer tolerate imbalance. And what's remarkable is that this restoration doesn't just come in the form of peace of mind, it comes through real, material recompense. Let's bring in numerology for a moment, because the energy of this week carries the vibration of the number 6. That's the number of return. Not return as in going backward, but return as in restoration, completion, and karmic healing. The 6 shows up when it's time for things to come full circle, especially in relationships involving care, support, or imbalance. It is the energetic echo of something you once gave time, love, energy, even money, now finding its way back to you in a different form. This might look like someone reaching out to make things right. It might be a surprising offer from a person who once disappeared. Or it might be the sudden awareness that what you lost was never really gone, it was just waiting for you to reclaim it. One of the hardest lessons for Libra is learning that not every connection deserves your constant adjustment. Sometimes, the highest form of love is saying no. Sometimes, balance is restored not by making things fair on the outside, but by honoring where you've been unfair to yourself. And when you do that, when you finally stop betraying your own needs to keep the peace, the universe takes notice. There are seasons in our lives when we're called to let go of what we thought was safe, in order to make room for what is truly meant for us. And sometimes, yes, that letting go feels like a kind of death, an identity shift, a silence where there used to be noise. But in that silence, a new sound begins. The sound of alignment. The sound of truth. And yes, the sound of abundance finding its way back to the one who never stopped giving. Even if you're someone who doesn't consider yourself spiritual, you may have seen this pattern before. People who walk away without explanation. Promises made, then never fulfilled. Help that never came when you needed it most. But what if those moments weren't signs of failure but preparation? What if those delays weren't denials, but redirections allowing you to see your own worth more clearly, so that when restoration came, you'd recognize it as something you deserve, not something you have to prove worthy of? So if anything in you feels resistant right now, if you feel a little skeptical about blessings returning, I invite you to soften into this idea. Maybe you don't need to understand the how. Maybe you only need to stay open to the possibility that life, in its mysterious timing, does find a way to give back what was taken. And then some. All it asks in return is that you no longer trade your peace for validation, that you no longer shrink your truth to fit inside someone else's comfort. Balance begins inside. And once it's restored there, the rest will follow quietly, faithfully, and often when you least expect it. Sometimes, the shift from desire to manifestation doesn't come from doing more, it comes from allowing more. And right now, Libra, you're being asked not to hustle harder or prove your worth through exhaustion, but to simply prepare the space. Not mentally, but practically. The energy is already in motion. The alignment is already in place. But abundance, like any guest, needs a doorway. And this week, your task is to quietly, lovingly, open that door. Creating space doesn't mean sitting passively. It means becoming available. You do this by clearing physical and digital clutter, by tying up the small threads that may be draining your attention. Check your inbox. Yes, even your spam folder. Open old messages, especially ones you may have been avoiding or overlooking. That email from months ago, that missed call, that forgotten notification, it might not be random. Opportunities don't always arrive in fancy packaging. Sometimes, they come through a message you almost deleted. Be mindful. Be present. Let your attention become an act of faith. There's also value in tending to the mundane, updating your bank details, organizing your documents, resetting your passwords, or even decluttering the corners of your home where energy feels stagnant. In the language of energy, these actions are invitations. You're signaling that you're ready, that you're capable of holding more, not just emotionally, but responsibly. The universe doesn't delay blessings to punish you. Sometimes, it waits until it knows you're prepared to hold what you've asked for. And let's talk about support. For many Libras, receiving can be far more difficult than giving. Maybe you've learned to carry everything alone, to smile even when you're stretched thin, to give without ever expecting a return. But abundance doesn't flow in one direction. There's no grace in isolation. If someone offers help this week, whether it's financial, emotional, or logistical, consider the possibility that it's not pity, it's purpose. Let people love you in the way they feel called to. That's not weakness. That's spiritual wisdom in action. You can deepen this openness with a simple morning practice. Take a quiet moment, preferably before your day begins, and write this sentence 3 times by hand. Money is coming from places I don't expect, and I welcome it with all my heart. Don't rush through it. Feel each word as a soft unlocking. This isn't magic. It's intention. And intention shapes the world around you in ways logic can't always explain. The truth is, sometimes abundance doesn't show up because we haven't made room for it, not just physically, but vibrationally. And you're not being asked to fake gratitude or pretend to be fearless. You're being asked to trust just enough to stay open. Because something is trying to reach you, and it will, as soon as you stop standing in the way of your own receiving. In our busy, distracted lives, we often miss the sacred hiding in the ordinary. But small actions taken with clarity and belief create powerful ripples. Think of every step this week, every email you check, every space you clean, every offer you allow as a gentle reply to the universe saying, "Yes, I'm ready." And trust that your readiness alone has already set the wheels in motion. Remember, Libra, blessings aren't just about what arrives. They're also about whether you're willing to receive without resistance. And this week, that willingness will change everything. There are moments in our lives when we stop chasing and start attracting, when the striving ends, not because we've given up, but because we've grown into a place of readiness. This week, Libra, you're entering that space. The space where grace doesn't come as a result of proving, but from positioning. Something is making its way to you now, and it won't arrive through hard work alone. It's not the result of effort, it's the result of alignment. You've spent so much of your life managing, planning, surviving, and now, a different kind of pathway is opening. It may look like coincidence. It may come through someone else's generosity, a message you didn't expect, or a circumstance you couldn't have created on your own. But that's the point. What's unfolding now isn't something you could have forced into being, it's something that's been unfolding behind the scenes in your favor. All it asks is that you step aside from needing to control the outcome and instead allow it to unfold. This is what it means to enter into divine timing, even if we remove the language of faith. It's about being in the right energetic posture, not clenched with anticipation or anxiety, but calm, clear, and receptive. You don't have to chase this blessing. It knows your name. But you do have to recognize when it shows up in unexpected form. That means noticing the nudge to open an old email, responding to a message from someone you haven't spoken to in years, or simply being willing to say yes to an opportunity that doesn't fit your usual picture of how money arrives. Your soul has already done the hardest part. It's made the shift from survival to self-worth. And now, what's on its way to you is a reflection of that shift. Maybe it's someone who once disappeared showing up again with something to offer. Maybe it's the release of a financial burden that's weighed on you for far too long. Or maybe it's just a moment of radical clarity where you suddenly see the value you bring, the power you carry, and the abundance that was always circling your orbit but waiting for your invitation to land. There's a passage I often return to that speaks to this kind of timing. It reminds us that a table is being prepared for us, not in secret, not in silence, but in full view of what once tried to limit us. And although it's often read through the lens of faith, I believe its meaning applies universally. That justice, restoration, and abundance are not random acts. They are echoes of the unseen work we've done. They are proof that what has been denied, delayed, or dismissed will always find its way back when we no longer resist receiving. So let this be your reminder: you don't have to fight for what's yours. You only have to stay open to it. Let go of the old patterns that say you need to earn love, success, or rest. Let go of the voices that told you to downplay your needs. This week is not about deserving, it's about readiness. And you, Libra, are more ready than you realize. Allow the miracle to come. Not because you need it to fix you, but because you've finally remembered you were never broken. And now, something beautiful is on its way to confirm just that. Quiet your mind. Watch the signs. And when the blessing arrives, receive it fully. Not with doubt. Not with guilt. But with the steady knowing that this, too, was always part of the plan. Libra, if you've made it this far, take a deep breath with me right now, not just to end this message, but to mark the beginning of a new energy within you. Because this moment isn't just the end of a video, it's a sacred pause between the old version of your life and the quiet arrival of something new. And that something may not come with trumpets or spotlights, it may arrive through stillness, a whisper, an unexpected yes. But what matters most is that you're finally open to receiving it. You are not the result of your circumstances. You are the architect of your response to them. And when your energy shifts from effort to alignment, from doubt to receptivity, everything around you begins to mirror that inner transformation. It's not just a belief, it's a pattern written across time, space, and vibration. The truth is, You've done more than enough. You've questioned, waited, endured, hoped, and now, this is your invitation to relax your grip and let abundance find you. This is what I want you to ask yourself as we close. What if the thing I've been waiting for is already on its way? What if I've already done the most important part and now it's time to trust the arrival? What would happen if I stopped doubting the blessing just because I can't yet see its shape? These aren't just questions. They're doors. And each one you step through leads you closer to a life where miracles aren't random, they're remembered. So, Libra, I ask you to ground this message not just in your mind but in your spirit. Write this in the comments right now. I'm ready to receive the unimaginable. Let those words become your declaration. Let them ring out into the energy field that is already moving in your favor. And if you feel called to share your thoughts, your story, or even your silence, know that this community is here for you. We read, we feel, we honor every word you leave behind. And if you felt even a spark of recognition in today's message, that subtle inner whisper saying, "This was for me," then I invite you to join this soul-centered space. Subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot and tap the bell, because I promise you this, the energy we're moving through isn't finished. More messages are coming. More doors are opening. And you deserve to be among the first to receive them, simply because you are finally allowing yourself to. From November 25th to 30th, don't be surprised if something shocks you into joy. Don't question the moment money arrives from a place you thought was empty. Don't delay the gratitude because you're afraid it's too good to be true. This is your moment to believe that it is good and it is true and it is yours. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your trust, your presence, your beautiful energy. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps this sacred channel continue to exist, not just as a place of prediction, but as a home for healing, remembering, and aligning. You are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you said yes. So let it be a full yes now to abundance, to ease, to receiving not just enough, but more than you dared imagine. The universe has already written this miracle in your story. Now it's time for you to read it aloud. Until next time, Libra. Keep your heart open. The unexpected is on its way.